Zoos are facing an identity crisis and public pressure to adopt a more ethical approach. Earlier this year, an international conference of zoo professionals in Calgary pushed to prioritize a move away from entertainment and focus more on conservation to keep the public's attention. The Toronto Zoo already starting that shift. But is it enough to sway critics who are against animal captivity altogether? CTV's Kamil Karamali reports.
Here at the Toronto Zoo, you can hear the oohs and ahs for the Arctic wolves and see the otters making quite the splash for spectators. What may not be visible behind fences and glass barriers is a monumental shift taking place from a traditional zoo to one that focuses more
really what you're seeing is the zoos make this jump from place to purpose
on conservation and climate change. Take the Amur tiger, for example.
You have a species that there's less than 400 of them left in the wild.
Now focusing on breeding more of them.
We're dreaming of a better future for species like Amur tigers.
While Amur tigers will remain at the zoo, some species are now being bred specifically so they can be released. Blanding's turtles, one of several species here at the Toronto Zoo facing extinction, being bred so that they could eventually be released. These little guys will be set free in about 2 years. The head of the zoo says right now there are at least 8 species that are rare or endangered being bred here so they can be let go in the wild. But that still leaves hundreds being bred for captivity. And that's where critics take issue.
If they're being bred, then their children and grandchildren will never be released. And I think that's something that the public is less supportive of these days.
Arguing zoos should change their purpose completely and stop breeding animals for display.
They can shift more towards being refuges and conservation breeding centers.
This reproduction lab, not what you typically imagine when thinking of your local zoo, but here you can find embryos and sperm.
We've got some wood bison sperm, we've got some hippo sperm.
For dozens of species. There's a new focus on preserving animals facing extinction today, but scientists here also peering into the future, hoping to save more species.
In the event of a climate crisis, a natural disaster, then we've got the insurance policy, the genetics to bring out and put back into the population.
The zoo argues its commercial side still serves a purpose, connecting the public to animals so people can care about conservation.
A lot of these animals out of sight, out of mind, off the planet.
But admitting, just like these species, over time, they're willing to adapt and evolve. Kamil Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.